Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us here on WION World is One. I'm Molly Gambhir, cutting straight across to these live images that we are getting to you. It's a crucial few hours ahead as US President Joe Biden will be meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. These are the latest images that we have for you of the Russian leader arriving at the Geneva airport for that summit with his American counterpart. That high-stakes summit in Geneva will begin shortly, as we've been getting you the very latest in terms of the expectations and the agenda for those talks. President Biden and Russia's Vladimir Putin scheduled to meet at that historic lakeside villa in Geneva at a time when relations between the two sides have been at their lowest point in 30 years. This is being seen as a crucial opportunity to reset ties between the US and Russia. But at the same time, both sides have warned to not expect much in terms of a major breakthrough. A long list of issues on the table, including cybersecurity, human rights, and Alexei Navalny. That has been a surprising feature as well, according to many experts. The very fact that the Russian side has agreed to discuss contentious issues like Alexei Navalny. Remember, a Kremlin aide, as we've been telling you, had earlier on talked about how the agenda has been finalized with the White House, claiming that issues like cybersecurity and Alexei Navalny will very much be discussed and be a part of the agenda. Let's tell you about the statements that have been made by the two leaders ahead of those talks, signaling their intentions and what lies ahead in terms of the relationship. Remember, this meeting will determine how ties between the US and Russia will shape up. It's definitely a relationship that has seen a lot of low points over the last few months, sending tensions soaring on multiple issues. Joe Biden had earlier said that Washington wants a stable and predictable relationship with Moscow. And he had proposed the meeting to Putin in April after imposing new sanctions on Russia. Remember, this was regarding the SolarWinds hack on various federal agencies. And that's been just one of the issues which has sent tensions soaring between the two sides. Let's give you a better sense of what the two leaders have also said ahead of those talks, signaling their intentions and what lies ahead in terms of the expectations from these talks. Both the White House and the Kremlin have made it clear that there is no major breakthrough to be expected, which has obviously tempered expectations. But at the same time, it is a summit that will be closely watched both by foes and allies as the two leaders are set to meet in Geneva. This much-anticipated Geneva summit taking place on the heels of Biden's whirlwind European tour. It is expected to be tense. Remember, Joe Biden has had quite a hectic week in terms of diplomacy and the hectic parleys that have been going on with the G7 summit. Post that, the NATO summit, and then the US-EU talks. And now the stage is all set for the crucial Geneva summit with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Now, the US administration has also been quite vocal when it comes to its opposition to cyber attacks on American companies. And the issue of cybersecurity will be a very integral part of these talks, a key feature of the talks, as both sides have indicated their willingness to discuss the issue. If you're just joining us, these are the latest images that we are getting to you from Geneva. The Russian leader has arrived at the Geneva airport to meet his American counterpart Joe Biden, who earlier touched down in Geneva for that summit between the two leaders. Putin has landed in Geneva. These are the images that we're getting to you from the tarmac at the Geneva airport. In just a short while from now, the two leaders will come face to face. Lots to be discussed. At the same time, the two sides have maintained that no major breakthrough is to be expected. That, of course, has meant that expectations have been running low in terms of any breakthrough, but at the same time, this is a summit that has to be closely watched around the world for multiple reasons, for the very fact that this is taking place at a time when relations between the two sides have seen their lowest point. Not just one, but multiple issues that have sent tensions soaring between the US and Russia. When it comes to the issue of human rights, or the issue of Alexei Navalny as well. Remember, the Kremlin aide, the statement that we are talking about, had earlier indicated that the issue of Alexei Navalny will also very much be on the table, talking about how the agenda for the meeting has been finalized. Vladimir Putin will be arriving at the villa later on and will be greeted by the Swiss president. Now, these talks are expected to last about 5 hours. Comprehensive discussions that are aimed at a reset in the US-Russia relationship. We're expecting a solo press conference later on as well. Several reports have talked about how the Russian side had stressed for a joint presser, but the American side had shown its hesitancy in the same and reluctance in holding a joint press conference, post which it had emerged that a solo press conference is to be watched out for. The American president will be joined by Antony Blinken, the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland, the National Security Council's top Russia advisor, Eric Green, and, of course, John Sullivan, the U.S. ambassador to Russia, who departed Moscow in April, remember, amid raised tensions between the two sides. We're standing by for the Russian president to emerge from the aircraft, which has now touched down in Geneva. These are the images that we're getting to you from the tarmac at the Geneva airport as the Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives for his meeting with his American counterpart, Joe Biden. Let's give you a broad sense of the issues that are on the table and will be discussed between the two leaders. Cyber security, ransomware. Remember, ransomware attacks by criminals reportedly linked to Russia that have not once but twice targeted critical American infrastructure. That's been a huge concern for the United States and will find itself to be at the center of those talks as well. Joe Biden intends to bring up the issue and has also suggested earlier that he wants Russian authorities to crack down on such cyber criminals, and which is what makes this a contentious issue. Vladimir Putin has suggested that Moscow would be willing to hand over suspects if any deal cuts both ways. Remember, even during the talks earlier between the NATO allies, Germany had also talked about the issue of cybersecurity, and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the US President Joe Biden have also talked about the importance of ensuring that cybersecurity is an issue that remains to be discussed. Russian President Vladimir Putin, responding to these remarks, had said that it was farcical to suggest that Russia was responsible for cyber attacks. And then there's the issue of human rights and the issue of Alexei Navalny. The Biden administration has been indicating that it will be prioritizing the promotion of human rights and protecting democratic rights and values. And at the same time, will not be shying away from warning countries like Russia over their records. Russian President Vladimir Putin emerging from the aircraft at the Geneva airport tarmac as he arrives for that crucial summit with his American counterpart Joe Biden. A high-stakes summit, two leaders of two of the most powerful countries in the world coming face to face at a time when tensions have been running high on multiple fronts. In just a short while from now, that crucial summit between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden is all set to begin in Geneva. Biden's first meeting with Putin as the American president, the first face-to-face meeting between these two leaders. A lot to expect. At the same time, the White House and the Kremlin earlier maintaining that no major breakthrough should be expected. Will Joe Biden walk the talk and take tough action when it comes to the contentious issues over the next few months? This summit will also determine the American response when it comes to dealing with Russia on multiple fronts, including the issue of cybersecurity. The two leaders will be coming face to face in just a short while from now, at a time when tensions between the two sides have been running high. Relations at their lowest point. It's a high-stakes summit with expectations running low. Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin will be sitting down for those talks for about 5 hours. So it's a comprehensive discussion that will be taking place. We do not have a joint statement. The two leaders will not be addressing a joint press conference. Remember, earlier reports have been talking about the negotiations that have been taking place between the two sides when it comes to holding a joint press conference. But that is off the table. We will not have a joint press conference from the two leaders. We do expect a solo press statement.